Hi everyone, welcome to this week's Thursday Thoughts episode of DOdaily. Of course, a live question and answers where I look to answer whatever is on your mind. Of course, it's an opportunity for me to come on, check in as I usually do at 8 o'clock every Thursday and respond to whatever you want to hear. I ask for questions to be posted in, so will be the usual format. Few questions. Before that, I'll run through last week's throwback, and after, we'll come up with a new one, as well as explaining how I'm feeling. And in this absolutely massive week, I think that's as important as ever, isn't it? Life-changing occurrence this Saturday. Of course, I'm getting married, and things feel at about 150 miles an hour at the moment. But we're getting there. We're not too stressed out. We're getting to the point where we can really, really look forward to the big day on Saturday. But before all that, one or two jobs to tie up, including DOdaily, Thursday Thoughts, wake up to walk in the morning. Once that's done, I can really sort of pay all my attention to what's going to happen in the big day itself. But for now, it's about doing what we do, trying to create some interaction, get people posting in questions. If you've got any comment to add this evening, please post them in. You'll see the social media links, the links up here. I don't know where my hand's gone, but it's there somewhere. And then, of course, they're scrolling across the bottom in full. So if you want to get involved, please do. It'd be great to hear from you. I love it when people comment in. All I'm trying to be here is positive and enthusiastic and just sort of explain how I'm getting from one day to another with all the things that creep up on us unexpectedly and set us back, all the things that make us tick. This week, of course, it's been 100 miles an hour, 150 miles an hour. So it's not been straightforward in keeping to my routines. There's one or two questions about that. So looking forward to getting stuck into that. Yesterday, my tooth was hurting. There's even a question about that. So I'm not going to say too much, but feeling much better today, feeling a lot sort of more with it and a lot on the right path to getting things sorted. A little bit of stress crept in last night when I filmed the Wednesday workout episode. Of course, I had real bad toothache, so feeling much better from that. But I'll come to that more shortly. Eve's popped in. Hello, Eve. Hope you're well too. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling really positive. Looking forward to the big day on Saturday. Thanks for the nice comments and the well wishes yesterday. It's really nice to receive those. Sorry, just pop that last week's throwback. We'll start there because otherwise I'm going to talk about all the things that are in the questions. Last week's throwback question: what's the favourite thing about the area you live? Of course, I asked this question on the back of something that was asked to me, but it's made me sort of think this week as well. I live in an area where this weekend I'm getting married, just literally within a couple of 100 yards of where I live, and then the reception is a couple of 100 yards, and the rivers between that, all sort of based in a square mile, and it's kind of symbolic of me and Kay. So it's a nice thing to be doing. Really looking forward to sort of feeling like it's home from home, but also having that big occasion to go with it. You know, it's all part of what we are and a part of our makeup. I go to the football. We do lots of running around the river. So I thought this question would be quite relevant. Eve again answered this last week. Her favourite thing about where she lives is 2 beaches close by. How incredible is that? I'd absolutely love a beach. I love going to the beach, you know, and I think it's brilliant for us all, isn't it? I went to the coast a couple of weeks ago and I actually went into the sea for about an hour, and that was really refreshing. I'm not one for going into open water, but really love getting into the sea and spending a couple of hours on the beach. It was with lots of friends as well, so whilst you get all those benefits of being in the fresh air and the blue skies, you know, being around people and just having a bit of fun and doing something that little bit different was absolutely amazing. If I had it every day, I'd definitely be taking advantage of it. You've probably seen on DOdaily how much I take advantage of the river and walking up and down, getting my activity in, you know, you taking lots of pictures. So with a beach, I'd definitely, a beach or two, I'd definitely be excited about that. But can totally understand that, Eve. Kay says, I love that Nottinghamshire's got a bit of everything, city, countryside, and it's easy to get to other places too. Absolutely. One of the real bonuses, especially as I'm a football fan and travel to watch football, is the location of Nottingham. It's not too far from a beach. Skegness is not too far, a real favourite with people from Nottingham. But there's also it's also located almost centrally in the country, so it doesn't take too long to get to the north or too long to get to the south. And it's not far from the Peak District, an area of sort of outstanding beauty. But like Kay says, there's lots of countryside, and believe me, there is. I've walked lots of it in the last couple of years. Check out my Robin Hood Walk playlist. That's the 112-mile walk I did from Nottingham Castle up to Sherwood Forest, crisscrossing, zigzagging across the county. Really, really enjoyed that. It feels like I know so much more about the place I live to. And like Kay says there, Nottinghamshire's great because it has got that little bit of everything, and it's not too far from some other major stuff as well. And Sarah says, I'm from Yorkshire and I love the pride people from Yorkshire have about the place. Of course they do, don't they? God's own country, as they say. Not going to get into the rivalry, but again, Yorkshire, I'd imagine if it's a place from where you're from, the beaches on the East Coast, and then you've got the North York Moors and things like that. Of course, all that ties in with the things I like doing, the activity. There's lots of big cities, good cities, Sheffield, Leeds, can totally understand. I love visiting those places. I've been there several times, particularly Sheffield. Really sort of like to get up there. Quite often go through it as much as anything, but always do stuff when I get there. Done many park runs there as well. I think the nearest park run I've not done is Mill Houses in Sheffield. So again, I've been taking advantage of all the things around me, and I've got to travel a little bit further for a bit of tourism, but I'm sure I'll get there at some point. But again, what I was just trying to show there was how we can take pride and not take for granted what we've got. It's just another example of not doing that. It's on a Friday, I always try to get somewhere different, somewhere nice for a walk, trying to explain why I do it and wake up to walk. But it doesn't matter where you are because everybody's got a little bit something. Sometimes we're a little bit guilty of not recognizing that fact. I go to parks now that I've not been to for years, and they're on my doorstep, and then I think I need to get in. I need to get in more. And when I'm in the city centre, we don't look up at buildings, because we're just used to knowing where we're going. When you're in a new town, you're kind of looking around and thinking, oh, that looks amazing. And again, I was just trying to show there through that throwback that we can take inspiration from where we are. And that's all we're trying to do through DOdaily in reality, isn't it? Take some inspiration, look forward, and make the absolute most about doing what we do. Dawn's commented there, my favourite point about where I live is Do Running. Do Running's a group I run here in Nottingham. Dawn's a member of that, so we get to do all the things we do there. And Paul says, evening, Des, just wanted to take this opportunity to wish you all the best for Saturday. I really, really appreciate that, Paul. Really appreciate the well wishes and the comments coming in as well. If you've got anything to add to those about why you love the place you do, please drop me a comment. That'd be fantastic. But of course, Thursday's all about that kind of thing, just trying to, I just got distracted by the comments slightly. It's just a bit of inspiration, perhaps a bit of motivation, might give you an idea to go and do something. You can see I'm kind of chilled and laid back and not thinking too much what I say. It's not prepared. I didn't even know what questions I was getting today because I've been busy. Kay set this up for me, so it's given me a great chance to just be as honest and realistic as I try to be. It's not always easy. If I'm being mega critical now, I'm a bit stuttery at the start, but I'm getting into it. And with a big speech, as Paul mentioned, the big day there, I've got a big speech at the weekend. So it's all good practice. And it's one of the reasons I do daily, to be honest, is to sort of help me and help me communicate. Of course, it gives me a connection with people who want to get involved, who want to watch, but it's also sort of self-training and learning how to speak on a camera. It's not easy. Lots of the things I do around the football as well, involves speaking in front of people and doing things. It's not something I'm natural with. But again, with that speech coming, it's probably good practice on a Thursday to get out of my comfort zone and do some practicing. Speaking of the speech, that's my one big job I've got left to do. I've got to write that tomorrow. I've got lots of ideas. I think I do pretty well at these things sometimes, but getting it down on paper and remembering all the things I want to say and then saying it on the day, I'm not really nervous about speaking, and that just shows how far I've come personally with DOdaily. Whilst it might not be perfect, when I first started, it was absolutely petrifying speaking in front of people. And even occasionally now, I drift away from people if I know they're near me so they can't hear me. I know Kay will be watching this somewhere within the house, and if I know she can hear me, it's a bit daunting. But I'm so much better. So with the speech not fighting in me, it just shows some of the progress I've made, and I really, really, really I'm really glad I've done what I've done because of that. What I will say before we go any further, if you're watching now, please give this episode a thumbs up. That would be absolutely amazing if you can. Of course, I'm looking for all the support I can get with DOdaily, whilst I'm trying to get better all the time, and I have my sort of times where it's going particularly well, then it might dip, and then something else is happening. It's getting there. What I've just said there is one of the things where I can measure a little bit of progress. And of course, subscribe, and that's another way as well. Subscribes and viewers, it's all important. That's why we do it. I make no bones about that. It's not the end of the world if people don't watch it. My intention has always been to try and help one person, somebody who's not feeling great, just feel that little bit better and feel like they've got a connection. A connection, and understand how people sometimes get it right and get it wrong. So. I'm just reading a comment there. Sorry for me if I feel like the drawings I do help with my mental health, and so does doing exercise. Coming to the city and seeing people helps me as well. And again, that's important because it's what I said there, isn't it? Just trying to do things that keep me sort of thinking, checking in. I don't really struggle with my mental health. I'm quite a confident person, or much more confident. There's still areas I'm lacking in confidence, but I'm much more of a confident person than I was, and my mental health's not a massive issue. I feel the need that I want to help and support others and pass on some experience from when it wasn't so good. But again, DOdaily helps me tick by. Yesterday, if you watched the episode, I had toothache, and it would have been easy just to say, I'm not doing that. I've had a bad day, I've had this, but it gets it all out for me. It helps me come to terms with it. And again, just like Eve there, finding ways to get on top of things, because there's always things sent to test us. There's always people or situations that are going to upset us. So we just have to make sure it's about us, make sure we're doing what we can, being positive and enthusiastic and enjoying ourselves. And if we've got that, we've got every chance. I've said so much in the last few months, how happy and content I have. And it's not just me being wishy-washy and gooey and just saying it in a way just because I should feel like that. I feel like that because of all the things that have happened. The culmination being Saturday, and all the good things that have happened in the last few years that have made me get to a point where I'm doing something that I probably thought I would never do, at certain points. And again, it's just great to be able to pass on those feelings sometimes and let people know where it's been not so good, but it's turned into a massive positive, and that's kind of where I'm at with everything right now. So some of what I'm saying is kind of a reflection of that. Of course, a wedding is a reflection of that by its own thing, because you only do that when you're really happy. I said to somebody today, really, really looking forward to it. And I know and I also back that up by saying, of course I am. Everybody should be, but rather than get to that point where it's a bit stressful, there has been things that I've still need doing, a few hiccups along the way, we've left things late, but I've never not been looking forward to it. It's really sort of exciting me now, and I'm just looking forward to an amazing day on Saturday. So when I can speak about things like that and with so much contentment, that it's just a great way to show that you can turn it around sometimes, because it's not always been this way. I've already said there's some of the insecurities and the fact that I didn't think it would happen, but by doing the things I've done, by doing what I wanted, and this is the important thing for Eve or anybody else watching, by doing what you want, you get to where you want to be. You know, people will criticize along the way, people will have a go at you, but as long as you do what you need to do, you'll get to a place of contentment and happiness. It's not about what anybody else wants, it's not about what anybody else says. I get slaughtered sometimes, and the more and more I do this and talk about football, I get more criticism, I get trolled, but I love it, because I think that just shows that you're doing something right. You know, I'm not arrogant, I'm not being silly about it, but it's one of those things where you think, well, if somebody feels the need to do that, you know, they must think you're doing something right, and that's what I take from it. So just a bit about the whole do daily thing and where I'm at there, getting into these questions. Of course, that's what Thursday's all about. If you've got any questions for me next week, post wedding, post the weekend, and anything else that's going off, anything you might be struggling with, some great sort of input there in those comments, and really appreciate people popping them on. But if you've got anything to ask me, of course, use those social media links to send it across. Comment on this video or any throughout the week. I'll pick them out, and I'll look to just do my best to explain the way I see it. And sometimes that's all we need, isn't it? And what I find I need, and then again, without getting too deep into why I do this, but what I need is to listen to real people. Sometimes people on the television, famous people, you kind of think, well, they live in a different world. We put them on a pedestal, but just somebody normal doing normal things, and I like to listen to that kind of thing. That's what I'm saying. And I think it's not until we do listen to normal people and understand people's journeys that we actually learn ourselves how to deal with our own. But these questions, as promised, question number one, it's pretty straightforward. How's the tooth? Touched on it already. Of course, on Wednesday workout late last night after a busy day, I had real bad toothache. Kind of mumbled my way through it. My thought processes weren't there. I was tired. If I'm honest, and I touched on this briefly earlier, I was a little bit stressed, thinking this is not the time I need this. You know, I was being positive. I was trying to sort of make sure that it didn't get the better of me. I remember a few months ago when I fell over running and smashed my arm in. Initially, you know, I didn't stress too much, even though the outcome wasn't very good, because I've said it many times, worrying about things is pointless, really. I think it's, well, I know this is a stat, and I've reeled it off many times. 85% of worry ends up unnecessary. So with the toothache, you know, I did what I could in terms of prodding and poking and making sure I could manage it through, took some painkillers. But I woke up this morning and it's a lot better, you know, and it's almost like just a little blip again. I think it will need sorting, but for now, I've just got to sort of get through these next couple of days. And I didn't want to be in a state of worry that I'd be in too much pain on Saturday and it'd be ruining the day, because that's the last thing I would want, and anybody would want. You know, toothache's an horrible thing at the best of times when you're really looking forward to it. So a little bit of concern did creep in, but I still found a way to be positive. And again, it would have proved unnecessary. It wouldn't have been, it wouldn't have helped any situation other than distract me from what I really, really want to do. Comment here from Dawn Tour, you look tired. I'm absolutely shattered, Dawn Tour, but cracking on, you know the way it is. Working through the things I've got to do. But again, that was the toothache. The toothache kept me awake till 5:30 this morning. So whilst I didn't need to be awake that long, whilst I could have done with more sleep, and I'll try and catch up in the next couple of days before the wedding to be in tip-top form, I'm absolutely shattered. But the show must go on, you know, like everything. If I didn't do it, like I explained last night on Wednesday, it was really late after I got back from the football with my mouth throbbing. You know, I wouldn't have felt better I wouldn't have felt like I'd done what I was supposed to do. Once I'd said those things and got it off my chest, I could almost come to terms with the fact I was struggling, I was tired, I needed to get sleep. if we just mull over it sometimes, it's a little bit self-defeatist, isn't it? We've got to find ways to make it work for us. Thanks for the question, Ben. Thanks for the concern about the tooth, but yeah, feeling much better, and hopefully can stave off any issues till at least after the wedding. Question number 2, you've spoken a lot this week about keeping to routine when things are really busy. What's your top tip for prioritizing this? And this is from Tim. But to be honest, I've not been perfect this week. I always say on DOdaily that whatever I try to explain, however I try to explain myself, it's not preaching, because I'm the first one to admit when I don't get it right. I've been saying for goodness how many weeks I want to get my routines in order before the wedding, so after the wedding they can find a bit of normality again. I do want things to sort of settle down a little bit, so I'm back doing my DOdailies and checking in at the right time, getting enough sleep, not fitting them in, getting more exercise in, which is all something that's gone out the window. But I also said this week on DOdaily, probably last night, if it weren't the night before, I also said that I've almost accepted, like with the wedding, things are going to be a little bit up in the air. It's when we don't accept that things are going to be up in the air, and another thing comes along, and then that distracts us, and it takes our mind away from things. So in many ways, whilst I am reaching out for that routine and got ideas of how I want things to pan out going forward, I'm not too concerned, because it's about accepting the situation for as it is, isn't it? It's always going to be a week where routine goes out the window, or a period, and so it's about doing what's most important. And the question there, what's your tips for prioritizing it? It's doing what's important, isn't it? What is the most important job? What needs doing by a certain time? For me, and me and Kay see this a little bit differently, it's just doing one thing at a time. I like to sit down, do something, get it done. The reason I've not done my speech yet is because I don't want to sit down and come back to it with a completely different ideas and rip it up and start again. Once I sit down to it tomorrow, I've allowed myself basically tomorrow to get it sorted. Hopefully we'll be on top of everything else by then, with a couple of jobs tonight. It's just to sit down, do one thing, and once it's done, I'll feel a lot better. I'll feel like I'm wedding ready, and I've done it in the proper way. And that's just how I prioritize. Of course, my week through the daily motivations is kind of set for me. So again, whilst not everybody's going to set up a YouTube channel and call a day a different thing, I'm preparing for what's going to happen on each day, rather than just blag it all the time. When you're in a good place, as I've said lots of times this evening, I'm happy and content. You can plan going forward. But if I've got my motivations to work to, of course, on a Monday, I'm looking to be positive. I'm looking to be in top form. So it's about the language you use sometimes. I've literally just finished a coaching session with the do running boot camp things I do here in Nottingham, and in terms of training people, coaching people with running and getting them fitter. And I was saying it's about the language you use sometimes. Rather than say I can't do it, it's about saying I'm gonna do it. And the difference it made in the attitude, I think the guys bought into it. But I was just sort of using that as an example about language. Like I say, for me, it's almost about using those terms, the Monday motivation, and just almost sort of brainwashing yourself. Not in a bad way, just brainwashing yourself, because that's the way you want it to be. Tell yourself that on a Monday you want to be positive, and all of a sudden you'll be positive on a Monday. Tuesday, it's about getting some training in. It doesn't happen all the time. Again, not perfect, but it's about the way you see different things and your approach to it. Friday, wake up to walk. I do it every week. I do it every single week. I love it. I get so much from it. But if it wasn't called wake up to walk, and again, there's one or two times when it doesn't quite work. But as a rule, 99.9% of the time, I've been up on a Friday, bright and early, to get up and do that walk. So if it wasn't called wake up to walk, if it was called walking on a Friday, I could do it at any point. And then as the day goes on, I might not do it. Do you see what I mean? So it's kind of like finding ways to prioritize things and make sure, of course, planning ahead is fantastic, like I'm saying with all those things. But one of my biggest one is just to do the thing that's most important first and allow yourself the time to do it. Sometimes I'm a little bit guilty, and I've mentioned this before, of not doing the job that's probably going to be the biggest and the toughest, and you're just thinking, oh God, that's going to be torn out and it's going to take me a long time. But once that job's done, you can almost do any. Again, it's the psyche. It's what I was saying about what I said to the guys about saying I can't do it, and then saying I can definitely do it. It's almost saying, well, that's the job that's really sort of making I've got little motivation for. But you're almost telling yourself, once that's done, I can do anything because that's the toughest one out of the way. So hopefully that made sense. Hopefully you get where I'm going with that. But again, at the moment, with everything up in the air, it's enjoyable, if anything, for somebody who likes to be prepared and sort of have things go in a straight line and tick things off as I go. It's just the way it is. Accept the way it is. Accept the situation, and you'll get things done. If you don't accept that this needs doing, that needs doing, you need to prioritize. You need to think about things. Again, DOdaily gives me an opportunity to do that. I encourage people to take time for themselves in other ways. But if you don't allow yourself that time, then sometimes, particularly if you're not feeling great, you can get yourself in a little bit of a mess, and it just sort of declines from there. So that'd be my tip around that. Thanks for the great question there, Tim. And the third question kind of follows on in my thinking on this. What are you looking forward to about married life? If you didn't know, if it's not been mentioned enough tonight or this week or wherever, getting married on Saturday. Which, when I just said it there, I just had a thought, I paused there, it kind of dawned on me, I am actually getting married. I keep having these little moments. But what am I looking forward to most? Just getting some nice routines going, enjoying being with Kay, making it official. We've been together for 5 years now. We think, obviously we think the world of each other, but we have a nice relationship. It's calm, we have our moments like everybody else, but it's calm, and we think the world of each other. So it's just sort of making that official, making it a permanent thing. It feels permanent anyway, but again, it gives us a nice celebration of a big day, and just the chance to sort of plan for the future. Because I'll make no bones about that. I'm quite prepared to do it. Again, at times I wouldn't have been brave enough to say these things, but these are the reasons we do it. I'm not trying to be big and hard and say, oh, well, I'm just doing it because of this. I'm doing it because I want to make this commitment, But again, following on from that about routines, just in a way settle. And I've tried to explain this to a lot of people recently. I've tried to explain it through DOdaily, so I won't go on too long, but sort of trying to find a way to do all the things I do, but to do it in a much calmer, structured manner, and by sort of being with the person I want to be with, that calms me anyway. That makes me feel good and happy, and all these feelings I get from that. But I almost want to sort of streamline the way I do it. And I think once we've made this commitment, once we start making plans and putting ourselves first, something we're both a little bit guilty of, probably especially me, but Kay as well, we put ourselves out a lot for us. So it's important for us to allow ourselves some time to enjoy this process, to enjoy the time afterwards, because at times we can get a little bit run down and tired and washed up in what everyone else is doing. But it's just about sort of knowing that I'm with the person that I want to be with, and I'm going to be happy. And because of that, some of the other stuff, which it can cause a distraction at times, can just fall by the wayside, because I don't need it, because again, it's about what you are and what you want to be. And I think that's the thing I'm looking forward to most, is almost just, in a way, slowing down a little bit. There's no expectations on me from Kay. One of the reasons that I think the world of her is because there's no pressure for me to do anything. She doesn't expect anything. She doesn't judge, and it's exactly the same in reverse. But it's the way I want it to be. I've made this commitment. I asked the question because I want it to be this way. It's not because of her or because of conformity expecting it of me. It's because of the way I want it to be, and that's a really nice feeling right now. I don't think I can articulate this as much as I'd like to, but it's a really great feeling to know that this is the way you want it to go. Don't get me wrong, I'm not wild, but I put myself out a lot, and I get myself drawn into things that, not that I could do without, because I love helping people, but sometimes you can just do a little bit too much and end up a little bit like you're tripping yourself up. Dawn says there, you could use what you just said in the wedding speech. Lovely words. Thanks for that, Dawn. I did think halfway through this, I thought, wow, hopefully I don't use too much of my speech up when I'm answering certain questions, but I'm sure I'll have plenty of material for that as well. I am actually really looking forward to the speech again, and that just shows a bit of growth, doesn't it? Of what I said before about sort of improving at what I do. It is what it is, but again, just another thing to be excited about, and just another thought that passed through my mind at that point. And this week's throwback question, thanks for all those, by the way. If you've got anything to add, please drop them in the comments. If you can answer this, if you're watching live, please drop it in the comment. What is the non-negotiable part of your weekly routine? Mine is doing DOdaily, again, even with toothache, even at a ridiculous hour, even after Forest got beat 6-0, even after all the things that are going on this week, even with lots of things still to do, I still did DOdaily because it's that important to me. It's important for me to sort of process my thoughts, encourage others, be positive, get it all out there. Communication is fantastic in whichever form. Of course, one-to-one and group communication is something I really, really support. But if this is a way of checking in and understanding, and also understanding yourself, that like I do, that's a great way for me to do it. So my non-negotiable is always DOdaily. I like to throw in exercise. It is a non-negotiable, but it hasn't been great. So I'm hoping from next week, that becomes another non-negotiable. And one other thing just to add to that is what I've just spoken about. The non-negotiable of taking a little bit more time for myself, and myself and Kay. I do my Friday morning walks. I go out for walks at other times. I do my activity. I do my DOdaily. But what I'm really sort of looking forward to is I'm making a non-negotiable in married life. Probably should have answered this during the last question. Is making time for me and Kay, especially, so we can do things in our own space. Because when we do it together, we absolutely adore the time we get. If you've got any responses, like I say, please drop it in the comments. Please drop it on now if you're watching live, or email any questions or comments to des@doonion.org.uk, along with all that social media. That'd be absolutely fantastic. I'd really love some support with this. The channel's building steadily, 706. It's come a long way. I could do even better, and I promise to put even more effort into it post-wedding. When I get a little bit of that time I'm talking about, and things start to calm down a little bit, I'm really keen to build this thing now. And it almost feels like I put the groundwork in. There's certain people who support it, people who watch. I tend to say the right things, but I don't always get it right. I'm even prepared to do a little bit of training to improve it. I don't want it to come across as ingenuine, and that's why I'm not. I just sort of get about it, and I'll always be that. I'll always try and just say it the way it is. But if I can find ways to make it visually better or produce something a little bit more articulate, then it's definitely worthwhile because it's something I get so much from. So really looking forward to taking it forward in married life. So if you've enjoyed today's episode, please give it a thumbs up. Please check back on some of the others that I've been talking about in the last few days. The things I've spoke about today over the last few days. It makes sense when you listen to it. If you watch a few of these back to back, you kind of just get why I say certain things, and you'll see the roller coaster of emotions. And that's all it's about, guys. We all experience it. You know, I'm lucky this week that I've got a real nice thing to look forward to, a real big occasion, a life-defining moment, and we don't have many of those, do we? But without being negative, I had a life-defining moment when I decided to be the person I wanted to be, and that's brought me to this place. So don't be scared. Get in touch, get involved, do what you want to do, put yourself out there, get out of your comfort zone, and I can assure you, any issues you've got around mental health or negativity or worries and concerns, you know, you'll be feeling a lot better for it, and that's all I'm trying to do. So I'm going to leave it there. Got more work to do as well as time to fit some tea in. Really enjoyed this week's Thursday Thoughts, as I always do. Again, I felt at times I could have probably articulated it a bit better and lost my train of thought. But again, you're just getting real. You're getting Des as it is. So until Wake Up to War, where I'll be reflecting on the week gone by, probably looking forward more to Saturday and talking about that a little bit more. Have a great evening. That'll be available from tomorrow. I'll be out bright and early, getting my activity in, making sure I start the weekend in the best possible way. Of course, it's a big one. I'll be doing that. I'll be even doing a park run on Saturday at my local park run, a place which I feel has been important to me. But again, starting the big day by getting them endorphins flowing and getting some excitement going. As Eve said right at the start, the exercise makes you feel great. I'm the biggest advocate of that. So if you can get some training in somewhere, just to walk around the block, and you can do what you want to do, you know, you're giving yourself the best chance. Until then, guys, just doing it.